Stage Babalola. It's a new day, it's a new dawn, and another opportunity for us to have conversations as it relates to nation building. Every morning, Monday through to Fridays, from 7:40 all the way to 8:30, about 45 to 50, are always new information, while others are more or less some sort of update on matters that we have been reviewing since the start of the week. Today's Thursday. It is Open Mic Thursday, for those of you who are familiar with our system here. But if you're not, Open Mic Thursday simply means that you are not beholden to any specific story, as opposed to Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday, where a few stories are selected from the many reports that we review, and you are to speak strictly on those matters. But on Thursdays being Open Mic, if it was a conversation that you didn't have a Thursday being Open Mic Thursday, you're not held back or denied the opportunity to address a specific matter, as long as it is relevant, that opinion with us here, and even make recommendations if you like. But right now, let's look at the papers, as that's exactly what we want to do now. When it's time to open the phone lines for that, we would notify you. For trends in the papers, what we're doing is reviewing our dailies and talking about the prominent stories that have been collated by our different newspapers. Punch, Vanguard, and the Guardian newspaper in no specific order. Those are the newspapers that we're going to be referencing this very morning. We're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube, so do well to join us on social media. You can watch everything going on in the live studio via our streaming platform, Facebook and YouTube. Do well to follow the page, yes, so that you're able to follow everything that we're doing. You get notified if you're following us anytime we have new information on there, or there's a program, I beg your pardon, going on live. And we are live at the moment. And the beauty of that is you can comment in real time, especially today being Open Mic Thursday. As we get through each report, you're able to leave your comments on our streaming platform. You can also listen to us via our website, www.mainlandfm.com, or listen to us via Radio Garden or any online radio application at your disposal at Mainland 98.3 FM. Fuad joins us now as we begin to review the papers. We're starting with the Punch newspaper. Good morning, Fuad. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good morning, Tate. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. Fuad, I don't understand why you cannot just leave us alone. Because
we'll talk about it.
No, why can't you just leave us alone? Fuad, why were you listening yesterday? It was supposed to be an all girls affair. Why were you in our business, Fuad, when you're at home?
I was wondering what you guys are trying to achieve, but it's fine. We would have to do another version that involves men alone.
Never. It's not possible.
No.
I will not
all
approve
of those.
I will not approve.
No problem.
You put
Let's try it.
Market Square. It's not going
I'll tell her this how to just begin to listen.
Session this morning. APC opposition clash over federal government revenue growth claim. I mean, I cannot say I did not see this coming, yes. The All Progressive Congress and opposition party, APC, insisted that the president has placed Nigeria on the path of economic recovery. The African Democratic Congress, the Labour Party, the New go under severe economic hardship. Also, economics has expressed skepticism about the president's assertion that the federal government market operations by the Debt Management Office and the Central Bank of Nigeria, questioning the president's assertion and its alignment with the current economic realities. There are multiple reports on the Punch today that are somewhat different but related. For example, the president also welcomed the show of Ogbomosho, where he says that Nigeria is now gaining respect on a global platform, that everything they've been doing for Nigeria. That is a separate report. And also the Nigeria 2025 revenue is also a conversation that has come up. In fact, the growth claim, hold on a second, let me pull this report from the Punch newspaper so I can give you exact figures. I want to pick out the exact figure. The non-oil revenue jumping to 40%, 20.6 trillion naira. So these are three different stories that are related. First is the opposition questioning the statements that were credited to the president, where he says we're no longer borrowing from local banks. We've been able to reach our non-oil revenue target in August, and in fact the revenue Ogbomosho, where he told the show that it's not just stabilizing our local economy, this trajectory has changed the narrative that the international community has about Nigeria, and we're gaining more respect. All these stories together for our side, what story does it tell you?
Well, again, the ADC, like you also I've just mentioned, of course, we almost want to jump on this. to celebrating data and statistics, while the reality of the people keeps going down and down the rabbit hole. So again, that's what you'd expect the opposition to begin to question. And when you break this down, you understand that, look, we're talking about projections for non-oil revenue, not the entire revenue projections of the government.
Yeah.
So it's always good to clarify some of these things. And when it comes to non-oil revenue, I think more statements, because yesterday I was saying that when you talk about non-oil revenue, there are also indices to consider to begin to look at and say, okay, well, the economy is taking shape. We can celebrate without understanding what part of the non-oil revenue we're talking about really. Are we saying that, look, there's a boost to the manufacturing sector? If you understand what I'm saying. Are we saying, okay, there's a boost, for example, to the agricultural sector? Are we producing more food to the point where, okay, level of performance, for example, in the extractive industry? I'm talking about solid minerals, not necessarily crude oil. What are we doing with other natural resources that God has given to us beyond crude oil? And how much are we making from that? You can begin to also look at, even though the minister in that area has gone completely, it's missing completely. If you ask me, I'm talking about the blue ocean economy. The storms have done well. And with the praise going to the customs, you understand what I mean. What it means is that, look, people are paying more difficulty in bringing in things. We have talked about challenges in the pharmaceutical sector. Yesterday, as I was at the pharmacy, and when I was questioning the cost or the price of most of the drugs, the pharmacist told me that you guys don't understand that most of these drugs are edible, and that's why these drugs are this expensive. I just picked about 2 or 3 drugs off the counter, and I'm already spending close to 40,000 naira. And those are drugs that would normally cost me less than 10,000 naira 2 years ago. Most of their active ingredients are also imported into the country. And so if you understand what they have to pay as duty for government, but at the expense of the people. And so if you look at the statement of government, what they now said is that, okay, now that we are now making more money and we're able to meet our revenue projections in non-oil sector in August, what is now left is for us to now put the monies into school. The question is, what are the timelines? When are we going to begin to see the benefit of this money? When are we going to see these things now impact the life of the people meaningfully? Those are the questions. So I'm not saying the government should not celebrate their win if they think it's again from making more money for government. Governance in itself primarily is about making the life of the people better. So now that the government is telling us that they have money, you see, the good thing about all of this conversation is that, look, the government cannot, are we going to begin to see the impact on the lives of the people?
Well,
and then on global respect, I don't know where the president is coming from. I don't know the data he's working with. But if he says global respect at the global stage, the fact that presidents are receiving them all over the world does not mean there's real respect for us. There's more that we need to do to tidy up our own back end here before we can begin to say, yes, we're a respected nation out there.
Well, I'll just read to you what he said in part so we can move on to other stories here. He says that his administration's bold economic reach is gone. The patient is alive as he received the Ṣàngó of Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ land, Oba Gandhi Olaoye, in audience with some other royal fathers at the State House in Abuja. So he says years of neglect and self-deception, fake records, smuggling, and all that denied Nigeria the necessary revenue for progress, and he is now starting to respect Nigeria again. That is according to the president. The Punch newspaper is where we took these reports from. Well, the Punch is also telling us that the National Association of Resident Doctors reiterated its resolve on Wednesday to embark on a nationwide strike on September 10 if the federal government and its relevant agencies fail to meet its demand. The president of NARD, Dr. Tokpe Oshundara, disclosed this in an interview with Punch correspondent. Earlier this week, NARD had issued a 10-day ultimatum to the relevant government agencies, warning that its members will commence strike if their demands were not met. And some of the demands include 25% to 35% consolidated medical salary structure review and other long-standing salary arrears, and the arrears of the 2024 accoutrement allowance or the presidency an extra year on their residency. They would have lost a year, and they would have to make up for this. That's the implication it has on the doctor. And the unfortunate thing is that the government will still have to fund that extra year of residency if at the end of the day the doctor
let's hope the government listens to them. Again, most of these demands have been in existence even before this government. Some of them, agreements by this government, and it is just important that look, we have to keep hospitals running for the sake of poor lack of equipment, lack of facilities. Now doctors, what do you have as a hospital? It's not going to be a mere building, really. So let's hope that now that what it means to meet your revenue projection in August. I'm not complaining about money again. So it has to. And these are the areas where people cannot begin to also feel the impact of the government. Now that there's a lot of money, new generation, taxes, duties, levies, and what have you. But again, you can collect with one. They say collect with the left hand and use the right hand to pay back. So I would expect that this does not happen. The lecturers are also saying the same thing. This is the time to activate all negotiation mechanism of the government to sit down with these doctors. It might be a gradual thing. They might not be able to meet all of these demands at once. Talking realistically now, but there's nothing that stops the government. This is a government that knows how to make money. I think what we should only begin to question is how well they spend the money to impact the life of the people. And
papers on mainland 98.3 FM. We're looking at the Punch newspaper. I'm Sage Babalola, and I have Fuad on the phone analyzing the reports as they are being presented. We're live on Facebook and on YouTube at mainland 98.3 FM. We're back to the papers now. 1,364 West African children recruited by terrorists. 14,000 schools shut. This is according to the United Nations. The United Nations has decried that the children were recruited by armed groups in 2024, and more than 14,000 schools have been shut due to insecurity. Under the Secretary General and Special Representative of the Secretary General for West Africa and the Sahel, Leonardo ECOWAS region and Sahel. They're mentioning some of the countries that are at risk. Now, although Nigeria is not part of the countries, the 10 countries that have been listed as the most vulnerable to this year, we have to take into cognizance the fact that these people are really, really close to us. The situation in Benin and Niger is also a spill. So when there are 1,000 children have been recruited since 2024, there's no data for 2025 yet, and 14,000 schools are closed because this country has now become a recruitment ground for young children who are given arms and made to commit crime. Before the state of Nigeria was also something of a recruitment ground. These terrorists find a way to penetrate and talk to vulnerable young persons there. Fuad, we are not on the list of the 10 countries that are most affected, but
easiest ways, the dark world or this criminal convince young ones to join their fold. Is to say, look, you are out there, your life is miserable, you can't feed yourself, there's really no hope for you. Why don't you join us? When you come into our fold, you think, they promise them free women, free money, live like a king, there's nothing to worry about, you make money, and IDP camp, the communities are deserted, and you have these criminals who are saying, just come over, and look at the kind of enjoyment we have here. So, and like you said, once you're malleable, you become very vulnerable because you begin to look at the other side and you're like, if I stay on this side, there's no hope anyways. Why don't I even join the other side? And the fear I have the Maghreb region, down to the Sahel, Savannah, holding on to power. But when it comes to providing security for their people, they are not able to do that. Right from Sudan down to even Niger, and unfortunately now it's spreading across the entire West Africa. That's why you can see that Benin Republic is also feeling the impact now. Benin used to be not been impacted by the infiltration of these guys. Again, there's a historical perspective to this issue. The fall of Gaddafi is also a major point. As soon as Libya became a gang state, this thing also, as we speak, Burkina Faso is not doing any better. Most of these military guys are just merely holding on to their capital city and a few communities. When it comes to securing their entire country, they are not able to do it because, again, they don't have the capacity, they don't have the resources to do it. So what you have, the impact in Nigeria, most of these guys are the ones who come in through our porous borders into the north. For example, Niger, I think we have 7 states sharing borders with Niger. So don't be surprised that there's already a free movement in a nation of weapons across the north and even the north-central part of the country. So no country, we always say you are not isolated when it comes to things like this. And that's why you also have to pay attention to, and to stop this will require a lot of work and commitment from our leaders. Unfortunately, I don't think we have this sense of leaders in Africa as we speak, not for now.
Well, very, very unfortunate, this report by the United Nations. Again, I'd like to reiterate that Nigeria is not on the list of 10 countries where this recruitment seems to be prominent, but they are drawing our attention to the proximity that exists between Nigeria and highlighting Nigeria as one of the states. I thought to reiterate that. Let's move on to another story with the Punch newspaper. All states need to ban non-reusable textbook. As schools resume this September from the long vacation, parents in Imo, Benue, Anambra, and Ondo State have used school books to be passed down to the younger siblings or other students, reversing a practice 3 weeks ago where books do not have to be bought for every term. If you have 5 siblings, when you use a book, you can pass it down to all your siblings, as opposed to where any holders of parents as the school session is resuming. If you have a book, as somebody who has graduated from secondary school, you have your textbooks, you can give it to another student. They don't have to buy. It doesn't have to be a part of their bill as they are resuming school. Laudable, yes?
Your elder brother uses a book. Look, if you are in this, you have to pass it on. So that's why one of the things we learned at that time is to keep your books. Keep it. I have this textbook, I come and collect. So your parents don't need to buy it. They give you a list of books and you look. But I don't know when it started. See, then suddenly you have books that you cannot. When you have to solve a question, you have to solve it inside the textbook.
Yeah.
And they solve it in the textbook so that in another year you have to buy the book. So somebody coming behind you cannot use the textbook. And I like the fact that some states have already banned that idea.
Yeah.
I think Enugu State and some other states.
Benue, yeah.
Benue, yeah. The manner of charges, some manner of level. When it comes to textbook, you have to buy every year. Why can't my daughter, for example, use the textbook of her brother? If he was the one supposed to be the different, they can't because private schools, they are always just looking for money everywhere and anywhere. And I think it's just unfortunate. You understand what I'm saying? Answers into the textbook, and it's deliberate so that nobody else can use it. So let's hope that other states will do the same thing. At least go to and so-called to our parents. I'm hoping that Lagos will also key into it immediately. I don't know why Lagos is not taking the lead on this.
Well, maybe they would follow suit now that more states are encouraging the idea, and it's definitely because sometimes tuition and money for a notebook are all use the book and pass it on to them. But anyways, just as on a light note, but the Punch is
and the books are too. The prices are inflated. See.
Yes, they're more
expensive
expensive
see the way
now.
They're very expensive. More expensive. Your state will take a cue.
They should.
Every state should do it. It should even be a national policy.
Yes.
Why can't Mr. Tuja allow us to make a national policy? Yeah. Let's go back to the old textbook that can be exchanged among siblings, not the ones that they solve issue books and then becomes a waste. And then you have in my shelves too. You see books everywhere. Because they donate your books
and they give it
to exactly, and the school should share it to them. Yes,
yeah. It would make things a lot easier, and people wouldn't miss school because they can afford a book, right? Anyways, the Punch
very important report.
So, for the sake of neutrality, River State has a lot on their plate. I don't know why this is what is important, but the River
and it's a woman that is warning you,
even though. Has warned that against the rising trend of women collecting transport fare from men and failing to turn up for the meeting, describing it
money. I think come. It's not before and I be that. That's Yahoo now.
Fine, it's under 419.
Obtained by false pretense. It's a criminal matter.
Die force you.
So if you are a girl that is in the habit of doing that, you stop it. The police is already telling you can be arrested and you might even go to jail. It's a serious matter.
Because of what?
Keep him waiting. Have you seen men sometimes when they are waiting for their girls? It's restless. The guy is just so.
Send money to girl. You too.
Why did you say you will come and you start to send money? You can hear there listen. Don't collect somebody's money when you know you will not come. That's criminal. It's actually stealing.
How is he stealing? How is he stealing? That puts my hand in your pocket.
Don't go report it in police station.
They should two. Choose one.
And if it's across the border invitation, are you going to report to Lagos police or Delta police?
You not travel to Delta to go and report to police. They don't know what they are doing. Let's move on.
No, I think smarter guys do something. You come with your money first, and they reimburse you when they see.
God forbid bad thing. But moving on to the Guardian newspaper. Now, let's talk insecurity forward. Federal government reopens debate on state police as Tinubu declares readiness. The riders are fairly few months. Northern Elders Forum calls for state of emergency in Northwest. Now, the federal government made a significant shift on the controversial issue of state police yesterday after President Bola Tinubu declared the possibility of working with the National Assembly to design a framework that guarantees local state governor Babagana Zulum. He commended the resilience of the collaboration of governors in the Northeast and noted that despite the daunting security and developmental challenges, the region has made remarkable progress in stabilization, resettlement, and social services. So Fuad have some level of control on the activities of the security outfit, but ensure political neutrality, because we have nipped banditry in that state in the bud, but the fact that their powers are limited is a major problem for their ability to resolve the security crisis in their state. So in promise of local ownership but political neutrality would not be lost.
It's going to be a very difficult thing, no matter the framework. You see, laws don't operate by itself. People would have, as it stands, we are okay. For example, look at INEC, look at our institutions. There were frameworks to guarantee their independence. But are they truly independent? Or you think there were no framework to really show that? Not only we are not supposed to have this fear about running a state policing structure. There's no reason for us to have this fear. But because of the character and nature of our politicians, that's why we see a solution to a problem. We know that our politicians will eventually turn that solution to another problem that we'll have to look for a solution to solve. To the point where this over-centralized policing system can no longer help us. But I'm telling you, the indecision, because as it stands now, I think we just have to begin to look at this option. The president himself seems like a man who is overwhelmed about the issue of insecurity across the country. The only thing he has been doing is to give him directives and orders that have not really worked anyway. But my fear, and these are genuine fears, whether we like it or not. Our politicians are not such a disciplined set of our point. Look, we know who we are as a people. Look, as it stands, a lot of governors that we have now currently comes to already been abused. That when you talk about federal might, it's one of those things that we see. How sometimes you see the federal police deployed to go and intimidate. But the fear of abuse, the fear of misuse by the political class at the state level is one that we have to look at. Social political neutrality and ensure that it works and it's not used and subjected to abuse by a politician. How is able to do that? We'll have to wait, because I know that, look, it will only come when our politicians learn to do some of these things beyond their own personal interests and benefits. But we have politicians who are even the Dada Lawal is they say, oh, if I have state police, this security is I will end in one day. It's all talk. It's just, when they look at the fact that, oh, if I have state police, well, it strengthens whatever grip I have over the state. They will not look at the other side. What about funding? What about financing, training, equipment? But the worst of fears that we have when it comes to New York State policing is that, look, our politicians are not such a disciplined set of people that they will not tamper with whatever framework you come up with on this matter. But we'll have to wait to see what the president has got in stock to make this work for us.
Structure report, I think in October. Strategy, that's when that one is coming out in October. So let's see what the framework for state police is going to be like, and if that would motivate them to actually now make this law where governors are able to control the activities. But I was here for
Okay, all right.
Other headlines. The Guardian newspaper. We have ADC faults Tinubu's charity plan for National Library. The rider warns against treating national asset like pet project. Alausa Lord's first comments that she would support the National Library completion as part of her birthday celebrations, stressing that the asset is a national monument and not to be reduced to charity. The coalition party therefore called on the fact that should not be trivialized in whatever form or shape. To summarize the entire story for us, the First Lady has said that in celebration of her birthday, she's going to make donations for the completion of the National Library. But the ADC thinks that it's not a pet project. It's not something that you have to fix using charity. There should be allocation. Completion of the library should be done through a transparent process rather, and not the First Lady saying she's going to use her funds to repair a national library for her birthday celebration. Although Tunji Alausa, the Education Minister, is excited about the announcement by the First Lady, but do you toe the...
It's not everything that you make comments on. Yes, we understand that there's a need to have some level of vibrance when it comes to opposition politics, but it's not for every matter and every... You know the eye service kind of thing we have in the country, all of the papers on that, they will probably struggle to get headlines. They will still go. They will still put those things in the paper.
Right.
They must, that eye service which you don't want, you must do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but what she's saying is that, look, my 65th birthday, please, whatever money, I think she has even put out the account.
Yes.
I saw the video.
Yeah,
yeah.
Make a video.
She just put all the monies here, it's going to be completed. Now that the First Lady is interested, maybe. Yearly, it has been a yearly thing. There have been stories about, in fact, there was a time they changed the logo. They brought up a new logo for the National Library. They said, I've seen several timelines of when the library will be completed. Up to now, they never completed it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a good one. It's commendable that the First Lady is looking at doing some of these things and saying, oh, hey, you guys that I know would always come with this money, so that these people want to do these things, for all manner of favors and whatever. But don't worry, just bring the money. I'd rather put it into a national asset that will benefit Nigerians who be interested in using the library. And so it is commendable, and I think the ADC should not trivialize everything in the name of operation politics. Take it beyond. If there's more money that comes beyond that projection, we don't know what is expected. I would also suggest to the First Lady to look at maybe like 4 federal universities, maybe ABU's area, and just spread across the 6 geopolitical zones, maybe one federal university, and then also feed their libraries too.
All right.
To put money into fixing their libraries too. That would also. This is just like an appeal to the First Lady. There are people money that people are giving it to me. What are you saying?
Your estimation of someone's birthday money. Let's move on to another story.
It's an appeal. I'm not happy to send the money.
Budget is someone's birthday money. That's never come. Anyways, contractors storm Abuja, demand 4 trillion naira payments for completed projects. Hundreds of members of the All Indigenous Contractors Association of Nigeria have stormed the Ministry of Finance in Abuja, demanding payment for completed capital project valued at 4 trillion naira. We're out of time, so I can't read the rest.
It's a period of more money, but more basic to contractors who are doing projects. Contractors who are doing different projects, and now they are even protected. And the way contracts are done in Nigeria, what they first do is if you are lucky, they give you mobilization. Maybe out of the entire sum, again, some of these sums are questionable anyway. Maybe that's why government don't really like that to pay them. But sometimes to continue to run the project. If you are lucky, before you complete the project, the money comes in. But sometimes as contractors, you are made to complete the project, and then you start to run after the ministry to get paid. Look, we cannot be talking about meeting targets. We have money now to pay the contractors, and let us pay the contractors. And these are local contractors. It's also important for us to highlight that. These are local guys who are also struggling to put technology together, put equipment together to helping to grow the economy. It's also by encouraging local contractors, who also, if they continue to do well, can improve and get to the point where they can begin to compete properly to take on bigger projects. So let's pay the contractors. It's very, very important. Once we discover that they've delivered on the job, quality of specifications and what else.
1 minute to leave. DSS arraigned 9 suspects over Benue Plateau killing. They would have their day in court. They are suspects in the recent killings that happened in Benue and Plateau. Plateau State. Also, we have digital lenders. Once that when you borrow money, they will put a picture of you with an obituary and say "gone too soon." These loan sharks who are not registered or licensed, there's now punishment because they release your data, they release the numbers of your family members, your pictures, your personal information, and that is a breach of consumer rights and privacy in the country. We also have the United States approves $32.5 million aid for Nigeria. Nigeria airfield by Sirica. Maybe when we come back very briefly, we'll talk about that.
The man is talking bubu yaya. That's the Sirica. And it's unfortunate that he's talking because by now he's not behind bars. He's talking nonsense. Bubu yaya, complete rubbish is what he's saying. Anyways.
We'll make this
a whole conversation.